Think sourdough is complicated? It's really not. I'm going to show you how to make a beautiful, crusty loaf with simple steps. No stress, no fuss, just real bread anyone can make at home. I'm Kat, owner of Charmin Chic Baking, and welcome to my channel. The ingredients to making a great sourdough loaf are really simple and easy once you have a good starter. There's so many recipes out there on how to start the starter. All you need to know is a simple formula. For 2 loaves, 1 kilo flour, either bread flour or a combination of bread and whole wheat, rye or other flours. I'm using light rye flour combined with the bread flour for this loaf. Hydration means the amount of water to flour, so I'm using a 70% hydration, which means 70% water to flour, or 700 grams of flour for 1 kilo of flour for 2 loaves. Next, you need 100 grams of starter per loaf, or 200 grams total, and 10 grams of salt per loaf, that's 20 grams. The starter I'm using today is made with light rye flour, and I let it rise for about 4 hours. You can see it just starting to deflate. That's how you know it's right at its peak and ready to use. Originally I was planning on making just 1 loaf, so I didn't have the full 200 grams of starter you typically use for the 2 loaves, but I'm going to show you how you can still make 2 really beautiful loaves with less. Right now I've got about 150 grams total and barely anything left in my jar. That's totally fine. I'll use what I have for this bake, and then I'll show you how I feed what's left so it builds back up and is strong enough for your next loaf. That's a nice thing about sourdough. Once you understand your starter, you don't have to be super precise. You can work with what you have and still get great results. Next, whisk the starter with either a Danish whisk or even just a fork. As you whisk, you'll notice it starts to get a little foamy, almost like light soap on top, and that's totally normal. Actually, it's a great sign, which means that your starter is active and full of life, which is exactly what you want for good rise in your bread. And slowly whisk in your flour. I'm starting with the bread flour since it's lighter, then the light rye flour until you get a shaggy dough. Salt actually slows down yeast activity, so if you add it too early, it can slightly hold back fermentation right at the start. So we're going to let this hydrate for 30 minutes to an hour covered with a cloth to start gluten development. In the meantime, I'm going to feed the starter that's left in this measuring cup, and we'll show you how it turns out in a few days. I'm going to start with 25 grams each light rye flour and lukewarm tap water just to get it going. Scrape all the little bits from the sides, then refeed it to bring it back to 150 grams to make 1 loaf, as you'll need 150 grams plus a little extra. Back to our shaggy dough, you're going to then sprinkle in the salt. Waiting to incorporate the salt helps the dough to come together better and gives you a stronger, more elastic structure in the end. Another tool I like that's cheap but effective is a plastic scraper. It helps to lift the dough out of the bowl and scrape out the sides. Now we're going to start with the slap and folds or stretch and folds or foil folds, whatever you prefer to do. I prefer the slap and fold method, and part of the reason is because here's where I can really take out my frustrations of the day. I do about 8 to 10 until the dough starts to stiffen. Cover and let rest for 30 minutes. We're going to repeat this 3 more times. A little more ASMR for you. Lightly wet your hands, then give the dough some good slaps on the counter. After each slap, stretch the dough out. This is what builds your gluten. Keep turning the dough about a quarter turn each time so you're working it evenly all around. A little After the 3rd round, you should start to see some bubbles as a sign of fermentation. After the 3rd round, you should start to see some bubbles as a sign of fermentation. Then check the dough temperature. You want at least 22 degrees Celsius or 72 Fahrenheit before it goes into the fridge. Let it ferment for 1 to 3 days. The longer it sits, the more sour your dough will be. Next, divide the dough in half, and this is where a scale always comes in handy. You'll see that each dough weighs about 928 grams. Next, sprinkle a little flour on the surface so that we can easily stretch out the dough into a rectangle. Stretch with your hands only, no rolling pin, then pull 1/2 to the middle, shaking off the excess flour. Then bring the other side into the center, overlapping slightly and brushing off any excess flour. Pinch the seams together to seal. Next, roll the dough into a ball, and here's the fun part. Start building tension by pulling it up and down, kind of like in a candy cane shape. This step is really important. because what you're doing is tightening the outer surface of the dough, almost like creating a skin. That tension helps the dough hold its shape instead of spreading out. It also traps the gases inside, which gives you a better rise, a more open crumb, and that beautiful oven spring. So take your time here, you'll actually feel the dough tighten as you shape it, and that's exactly what you want. Then pinch the loaf again before placing it into a banneton that's lined and dusted with flour. You can use bread flour or even rice flour if you want a really white crust or doing intricate designs. Then cover with plastic wrap before placing it into the fridge overnight and up to 3 days. I like to use my Dutch oven for baking my loaves. I also have the silicone sling that makes it so much easier to transport the loaf into the Dutch oven. And of course, you'll also need a lame or blade for scoring. I'm baking one loaf tomorrow and the other in 2 days. To check if it's ready, gently poke the dough. It should spring back slowly. This one keeps a slight dent, and that's okay, it'll bake up beautifully. What you want to avoid is overproofing in the fridge. If it goes too far, the yeast runs out of food and your loaf won't rise properly. It'll bake up flat instead. Next, lightly dust some flour over top. This helps your scoring stand out and gives that nice contrast. Start by scoring one side lightly, then the other side just a bit to add a design. I'm going to do a wheat straw pattern, a gentle curved line with small, shallow cuts along the side. Once that's in, go back and deepen your main score. This cut should be about 1 inch deep. It's the one that controls how the bread opens up in the oven. Then angle your blade slightly and score just under the edge to create that classic ear. One thing to watch out for, if your loaf starts to deflate after scoring, that's usually a sign that it's overproofed. It can still bake, but you won't get as much rise. And this is what the loaf looks like after 30 minutes with the lid on. Then continue to bake the loaf for an additional 15 to 20 minutes. Uncovered for an additional 15 to 20 minutes. And it's beautifully round and light. And it's beautifully round and light. This loaf measures about 5.5 inches in diameter and 5 inches in height. It weighs 829 grams after baking, so it lost about 100 grams in weight, which is normal. And you do need to wait at least 30 minutes and preferably 1 hour before cutting into the loaf so that it doesn't turn gummy. Now, listen to that crunch. It looks pretty good. The holes may not be uniform, but it doesn't matter as long as it's baked through and the bottom isn't gummy. I'm now going to bake the second loaf 2 days later, so 3 days total cold fermentation. You can see it's a little bit puffier. It still hasn't overproofed because it didn't spread after I scored it. You can see that beautiful gluten structure inside. And this is how it baked up. All right, it's time to dig in and listen to that crunch. This loaf definitely turned out better than the last one, and that's because it had more time for fermentation. It also tastes more sour, but not overly sour, just perfect. And finally, this is a loaf I made a day later with a leftover starter. Thanks for baking with me today. If you love the sourdough bread journey, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share with another bread lover. Until next time, keep your starter happy and your crust crispy.